Close your eyes for a moment and breathe, not just with your lungs, but with your soul. Feel the air flowing in and out of your body as if it's a silent reminder. You are still here, even after everything, even with everything. And maybe, just maybe, you're wondering, why? Why do some things feel so hard? Why does life sometimes seem to keep hitting the same wound? Is the universe trying to punish you? Many carry that question in their hearts like a secret guilt, a whispered thought at the back of the mind. Did I do something wrong? Do I deserve this? And this idea of punishment, of some kind of relentless spiritual justice, becomes a silent burden. But maybe it's time to untie that knot, because the universe doesn't punish. It reveals, it mirrors, it returns, with almost divine precision, the vibration you emit, even without realizing it. Bruce Lipton, a biologist and soul researcher through the cell, teaches that we are not victims of our DNA. We are children of the beliefs that activate or silence that DNA. What seems like punishment today may actually be biology responding to an old story, a belief repeated so many times in silence that the body believed it. And now, reality merely confirms it. This is the foundation of epigenetics. The environment shapes the behavior of cells. But environment here isn't just what's outside. It's, above all, what vibrates within. The unspoken, the swallowed emotions, the suffocated feeling, the cruel judgment you still cast upon yourself when no one is looking. The internal environment is made of these invisible gestures, and it is what communicates with the universe. Joe Vitale adds something that resonates deeply. The universe doesn't hear what you say you want. It hears what you believe you deserve. And maybe, without realizing it, you're trapped in a silent belief of unworthiness, that happiness is for others, that peace is a luxury, that true love doesn't exist for you. And so life continues to reflect that pattern, not because it wants to punish you, but because it responds with absolute fidelity to the frequency you carry. The intention of this video is simple, but profound, to dissolve the illusion of cosmic punishment and reveal what's really behind these repetitive cycles of pain. Because you're not being punished. You're being invited to look deeper, to listen to what still hurts, to transform the root of what vibrates within you. There is no mistake. There is no sentence. There is only a calling to come home, to return to yourself and begin again. Sometimes life seems insistent, almost cruel, as if the same patterns return, wearing new clothes, but carrying the same pain. Relationships that end the same way. Doors that close the moment they seem to open. Silences that hurt more than words. And within you, a growing feeling that you're being punished for something you can't name, for something you may not have even done. But what if this punishment is just a reflection? What if life, in all its energetic precision, is simply showing, through symbolic and subtle gestures, what's hidden in your emotional field? Because pain, though intense, is not the enemy. Pain is a messenger, and when it repeats, when it insists, it's trying to show that something in you is misaligned with the vibration of what you desire. The truth is, many of us carry unconscious programming we've inherited. Beliefs passed down from parents, grandparents, culture, religion, childhood. Silent beliefs that say, you don't deserve, you're not enough, you'll always be rejected. And these beliefs, even when not spoken aloud, vibrate. They vibrate in every choice you make, in every relationship you attract, in every opportunity you plant but that fails to bloom. The body feels it before the mind. The body reacts. The low frequency sets in, and reality, as a precise mirror, reflects back what's being emitted. That's why the feeling of punishment is, in truth, a spiritual alarm, a call from your energy field to look within and ask honestly, what part of me still believes I don't deserve what I so deeply long for? This question isn't simple, but it is sacred, because it opens the door to recognition, and anything that is recognized with love can be transformed. Punishment dissolves when the frequency realigns, and life, which once felt harsh, begins to respond with gentleness. Not because the universe has changed, but because the vibration with which you touch it has changed. There's a subtle yet deeply rooted idea that lingers in the collective unconscious like an ancient fog. The belief that suffering purifies, that only those who endure pain are truly worthy, that hardship equals merit, that anything that comes with ease is suspicious. How many times have you caught yourself doubting happiness as if it were a gift that would soon be taken away? This belief wasn't chosen by you. It was planted, repeated, normalized over generations. And like any belief that's repeated, it became a program. Bruce Lipton states clearly, when a belief is repeated enough, it becomes a biological truth. The cells learn to obey what you believe. The body responds. Life responds. And if deep down you believe you must suffer to evolve, then even unconsciously, you'll attract experiences that validate that belief. The universe doesn't punish. It confirms. It merely reverberates. It merely echoes. If the vibration you emit is guilt, it will return situations that feed that guilt. If the vibration is unworthiness, it will bring mirrors that reinforce that feeling, not out of cruelty, but out of coherence, because everything in the quantum field organizes by resonance. Like attracts like. And when the field is soaked in the belief that pain is necessary, pain becomes recurring. That doesn't mean suffering has no value. It does, but not because of what it causes. Rather, because of what it reveals. Pain shows what needs to be healed, not what needs to be sustained. When you begin to observe yourself with kindness, you realize that many of your decisions, your silences, your sacrifices, came from a place where pain was normalized, where joy felt like a luxury, and where pleasure, ease, and well-being almost felt like sins. Breaking free from that belief takes courage, because it hides in habits, in language, in the smallest daily choices. But the first step is to look at that idea and say, with both firmness and tenderness, I can grow without suffering. I can evolve with joy, because light also teaches, ease also transforms, and happiness is also a spiritual path. At some point on the spiritual journey, many of us learned, or believed we learned, that blessings must be earned, that the universe, or God, or life, only offers its gifts to those who behave impeccably, as if we're standing before a celestial judge, ready to be approved or rejected based on our spiritual performance. And so, we begin to act out of fear of making mistakes, fear of wanting too much, fear of feeling anger, sadness, envy, fear of being who we are, because deep down, we believe that any internal flaw could be a reason for punishment. And that's when the relationship with the sacred becomes tainted. Fear takes the place of trust. Blind obedience replaces authentic surrender. And spirituality, instead of setting us free, becomes a prison. But the universe is not a judge. It doesn't evaluate. It doesn't punish. It doesn't trade rewards based on good behavior. The universe is a field of resonance, a silent mirror, a vibration that responds with precision to the frequency you sustain, not to the behavior you display. This means that even when you say beautiful prayers, light candles, help others, eat well, if inside you there is fear, guilt, or unworthiness, that is what the field perceives. Because the universe doesn't hear words, it feels coherence. The vibration behind the action is what shapes the response of reality. And an intention tainted by the fear of punishment is, in practice, a request for that punishment to be confirmed. That's why so many people, even those who are good, still live in suffering. Not because they're being punished, but because they're trying to please an image of the divine built on fear. They're asking for blessings the way one asks for forgiveness. They're living as if universal love were conditional. Healing begins when that illusion dissolves. When you realize you don't need to earn love, you already are love. When you understand that you're not here to please a higher force, but to co-create with it. And co-creation requires presence, truth, and authentic vibration. Not fear, not guilt, not submission, but consciousness. And when that consciousness settles in, everything begins to change because you stop begging for light and start remembering that you are already made of it. Maybe you've never said it out loud. Maybe you've never even admitted it to yourself. But somewhere deep inside, an old guilt might be vibrating, a feeling of not being enough, a fear disguised as self-protection. And that creates a field, a dense field that attracts experiences that merely confirm that silent vibration, not as punishment, but as vibrational coherence. Vibrational self-punishment doesn't come from a single act, but from a perception, from a distorted idea of who you are, from an internal image marked by unprocessed experiences, by harsh words, by abandonments that left their marks. And without realizing it, you start living in response to that image. You begin to expect little. You begin to accept crumbs. You begin to stay silent in situations that call for you to speak out. And all of this, in the energetic field, vibrates. And the universe, like a mirror, simply reflects it back. Reversing that energy isn't about deserving more. It's about remembering who you are beyond the pain. It's about making peace with your story, with your mistakes, with your shadows. It's about speaking to the universe as you would to a mirror, not a courtroom. Now imagine you could write a letter to the universe, but not a plea, not a request, an honest letter, where you reveal what you hide, where you confess what you feel without fear of punishment, where you truly see yourself, without masks, without defenses. What would you say? What are you still afraid to see in yourself? What are you still waiting for others to recognize, but that you avoid acknowledging? Look at your life through that same lens. What are the areas where you feel stuck, where the energy doesn't flow? Ask yourself gently, what in me is feeding this reflection? Sometimes the answer will come as an emotion, sometimes as a memory, sometimes as silence, but it will come, because the body knows, and the field responds. And finally, look at yourself in the mirror, not as someone who judges, but as someone who is meeting themselves again. Look into your own eyes and say, with firmness and truth, nothing outside of me has greater power than what vibrates within me. Bruce Lipton says, when you change perception, the body changes. When you shift the field, reality responds. Because vibration comes before form. And when you realign from within, everything around you reorganizes. Not by magic, but by physics. Spiritual physics, the physics of the soul. Imagine yourself standing in the middle of a silent valley. No presence, no voices, only the vast and deep stillness of a nature that listens. You shout. It doesn't matter what, you shout. And soon after, the sound returns. Identical, faithful, without altering a syllable, without correcting the emotion. The valley simply gives back what you emitted. That is the universe, a valley of pure resonance. A vibrational mirror that responds to your field, not your declared intentions. It's common to think we're being punished when life hits back hard, when something repeats, when the pain returns, when the cycles stubbornly refuse to break. But what if instead of punishment, what's returning is simply the echo of your own vibration? Not what you want, but what you feel, what you believe yourself to be, what you're silently shouting to the universe. That shout isn't always audible. It lives in unexpressed emotions, in wounds that have never been seen, in thoughts that became walls, in beliefs that act like invisible chains. And the universe, with almost mathematical precision, returns it, not to punish, but to show, to reflect, to teach. When you feel you're being punished, ask yourself, what have I been shouting so loudly, without even realizing, that I'm now hearing it as an answer? Maybe it was fear, maybe anger, maybe shame, maybe a pain disguised as pride. The echo doesn't lie, the echo reveals. And that's why repetitive suffering is not a sentence, it's an invitation to break the pattern, to change the sound, to vibrate something else. The echo only changes when the tone changes, when the intention shifts, when the frequency is realigned. The external reality is not punishment, it's feedback, an energetic response to your dominant vibration, and you're not trapped in it. You're just listening. The echo that returns is a map of what you're ready to transform. There comes a moment when everything seems to collapse, the plans, the certainties, the strength, and in that moment, it's easy to think something is wrong with you, that you're paying for some invisible mistake, that you've been forgotten by God. But what if what you call collapse is, in fact, a deep alignment, a vibrational adjustment trying to reconnect you with something you left behind, your essence? Bruce Lipton says, "It is the mind that programs the body, but it is feeling that programs reality." And when you live emotions that are misaligned with your highest nature, guilt, fear, resentment, shame, your body feels it, your energy responds, and your reality reorganizes. Not as punishment, but as reflection, as an attempt to return, as the universe saying, "You forgot who you are, and I'm trying to remind you." Neville Goddard teaches with poetic clarity, "You never attract what you want, only what you believe you are. And what you believe you are vibrates. Even when you're silent, even when you don't say it, even when you pretend, even when you hide, the field knows, the universe feels, and it doesn't judge, it only reflects." So maybe what you feel as punishment is really just your consciousness resisting its own power. Because stepping into your power means letting go of victimhood. It means stopping the finger pointing outward and beginning the deep dive inward. It means recognizing that you are not being punished. You are being realigned. Realigned with your essence, with your truth, with the vibration of what you came here to express in this world. There is no punishment. There is coherence. There is no mistake. There is a path. There is no sentence. There is reconnection. And what feels like pain is sometimes just the discomfort of someone finding their way home after being lost for a long time. So I leave you with one last question. A question not meant for an easy answer, but for an open soul. What if everything you've been calling punishment is actually the universe's attempt to return you to your original vibration? The one that existed before the fear, before the pain, before the beliefs. The one that still pulses, silently, waiting to be remembered. Because you are not broken. You are coming back. And the universe is just showing you the way.